This is a recording on Christmas Day. That's right. That shows my level of commitment to you, my students. I know many of you are trying to get this thing done before the end of the year, but I want you to know that I am supporting you in spirit and in mind, and I'm thinking about you, and I'm really hoping you can get this done. Now, I want to talk about the PMP exam mindset because I've heard from a number of students about how shocked they were that they received a number of situational questions on the PMP exam. I want to make it extremely clear. The PMI does not owe it to you to give you any softball questions. They are going to come with a vengeance. They are going to come with their measuring tools to measure their fancy little bell curve to make sure that the passing score is healthy, and you are likely to not succeed if you fall outside of that curve. It's as simple as that. I've talked about the angle of cutoff technique. So they're going to be coming at you with a lot of situational stuff. If you haven't heard it before, know it now. You're not going to have those namby-pamby. You get this as an output. Which process is it? Or you have this as an input. Which process is it? Or you've got this tool and technique. Which process are you in? You are not going to get the namby-pamby stuff. They're going to come at you with situational questions. Let's make that clear, okay? The second thing I want you to know is to succeed on this exam, you cannot rely on dumb luck. You got to do what I'm asking you to do, and you got to make sure you check the boxes to make sure they're all done. If they're not done, don't venture to take the exam. It's that simple. Do not. The steps to exam success that I would recommend are to study the PMBOK guide processes. I'm not talking about the whole thing now. I'm talking about knowing what each process is. And secondly, understand every single tool, technique, input, and output. I'm not saying cram. There's a difference between cramming things. Where does this come from? Where is this used? No, no, no. I'm not saying cram. I'm asking you to know what things are. Okay? Next, research every single one of those ITTOs you do not understand. Ensure you can explain back to yourself why and how each ITTO is used. Read the intros to each chapter. Every chapter has an intro. It tells you what the chapter is about. It tells you what the processes are about. And it also tells you the concepts, trends, tailoring, and considerations for Agile. Please make sure you focus on those as well. They will help you understand the considerations for Agile. And while you're at it, understand the details in the Agile practice guide. And if you're one of our students, you better watch all those Agile videos where Roy is teaching you. Read the Agile Practice Guide and understand pages 8, 9, 14, 18, 27, 28, 50 to 56. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. You are likely to face Agile questions on your exam. I have said this before. It should not come as a surprise. Take and pass all the Praizion quizzes. There are 5 of them. My advice will be to take all, pass all. Make sure you understand why you did not pass any of them. Take it again till you pass it. It's that simple. Take all 5 mock exams that Praizion has given you. Take the PMI mock exam, which has been provided to you for free from the PMI until you get in the high 90s. If you quit before you get to the high 90s, in other words, 95 and above, you're not doing the due diligence. Take it until you get over 95. I advise you to go for one of my tech camps or power reviews and close any gaps that you found rapidly. Go to praizion.com, click on additional tools, and look for the tech camps or the power reviews. It's up to you to choose whichever one you feel will help you. So go ahead and do that. Close the gaps. And I always tell students EPS, eat, pray, sleep. Definitely eat before your exam, a good meal. Definitely pray if you're a person of faith, and definitely get some sleep. For goodness sake, don't go into that exam with a dulled brain. It will work against you. For example, if I went into an exam right now, I would probably not succeed. Why? Because my brain is not functioning at 100%. I need a particular time of the day and I need to have done certain things as a ritual to get me into that zone. Those of you who've done this before, you've taken other exams, you know you have a zone. If you're not in that zone, no amount of prayer and eating is going to help you. You need to sleep. Many of you go into that exam without sleep. It's not going to result in success. I'm just being straight up honest. You need enough bandwidth to process the questions. So there are many things that contribute to success. Lastly, kill the ridiculous exam and report back to me. Let me know that you did this, okay? Now, I want to talk about situational questions just really rapidly. There are many things that you need to be aware of, but here are a few just to keep you straight where these situational questions are concerned. One, do not select options that should have already happened before the question. For example, if they're asking you to plan risk responses when what you're doing is a risk review, you know that cannot be right. If they say, what should you do next? And you know that you're in a risk review and you've just found a new risk, what should you do? It's not plan risk responses. You're in monitoring and controlling. So something to that effect to continue the narrative. You get what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Do not report everything to the sponsor. Those options that tell you report to the sponsor, they're usually bogus options. Solve the real problem. Don't go crying to management. Remember, you are likely in a strong matrix organization or some form of matrix, but solve the problem. Disciplinary action is hardly ever the best choice. Don't go with that. Always follow change control options when faced with updates. If there are updates to be made, if issues are found, if things need to be updated, maybe budgets need to increase, you got to follow change control. Okay. Now, I'm not saying disciplinary action cannot be right in some instances, but we have found that to be a bogus option in many of the mock exams. Requests for more money usually imply change requests, as I said. Requests for a different deliverable or scope imply a change request. If an error has occurred, then preventive action will not help you at that point. Corrective action or defect repair may be needed if deliverables possess defects. Reporting bad behaviors to others, like senior managers, is usually not the best option. You got to know your documents. You got to know what comes first. Page 89, you got to understand the details of everything. The scope management plan, the scope baseline versus the statement of work. What do they mean? What about a project charter? When do they come into the picture? If you don't know that stuff, you will find the situational questions rough. Follow the process flow logic in the PMBok guide mainline by Praizion. Google it, search for it on YouTube. Know the WPD, WPI, WPR sequence and apply this to everything. What do I mean? Well, everything starts with data. You got to understand the data and then you got to extrapolate to get the information. In other words, you got data that could allude to an issue. You got to analyze it to find the information. What is causing that? That becomes information and it ends up getting put into some sort of report, or you end up taking action based on the information. Think about this like what has happened, understand what has happened, get a change request, do something. They all follow this theme: WPD, WPI, WPR. I've got raw data, I need to understand it, and then I need to do something. I need to report, and then I need to do something. You got to think about it like that. Here is a very easy situational question, but they follow similar themes. A team member has failed to deliver a key deliverable multiple times. What should you do? Should you seek HR intervention, discipline the employee, use reward systems, or seek inputs from the team? Think about it. What would you do? Would you discipline them? Would you use reward systems? Would you seek HR intervention? The best thing you want to do is seek team inputs for impediment detection. What does that mean? What is that impediment? It's a blocker. That would be the best option. Everything else is not proactive. It does not move you towards solving the problem. All right, let's take a look at another one. Here's another example. During root cause analysis, you've discovered reasons for a technical problem. with a deliverable submitted to a client following their complaint. What should you do? So think about what I said. Should you analyze the issue? Should you submit a change request? Should you log this in the risk log? Should you meet with a team to implement a solution? In this case, my friends, if you have found a problem submitted by a client, you've analyzed it, the next step is to go to the next approving authority, which is a change control board. The question is not always going to say CCB, it could just say control board. You got to understand that. Meeting with the team immediately to implement a solution that has not gone through the next approving authority is not the best option. Here's the final one. A functional manager has pulled a resource off the project once all tasks were completed. What is the best thing to do? If you go through all the options, apply tacit knowledge or assess performance of the employee, assign the employee to new tasks, or submit a change request to the CCB for extension. You got to understand this person is done. You don't need an extension. You don't need to put them on any new task. And you don't need to assess their performance at this stage. This is the end of the project. Moreover, a functional manager pulled them off. You are not their boss. So the most sensible thing to do, even before assessing performance, if that was a step, let's even say it was, is to apply tacit knowledge principles, face to face, real time exchange. And that will help you glean the lessons learned. I hope this makes sense and I hope this has been of help to you, my friends. I really want to see success on the exam, but I don't want you to keep using studying as an excuse for not taking this exam, this mock exam from the PMI mock exam, and all our other exams from Praizion. If you're not taking these exams, trust me, you're not doing what you should be doing because you should be pounding on this to gain experience. This is how you exercise your situational exam muscle by taking many of these questions. And you have 5 of these mock exams from Praizion, and you have one really ridiculous one from PMI that gives you a run for your time. Why are you not using these resources? Why do you keep going back and saying, I don't understand, I don't understand? You got to do something different. Don't tell me you don't understand. If the PMI said you can sit for this exam, I expect you to rationalize the answer by doing research. Some of you are being lazy and not doing research. You got to do your research. You got to dig to find the answer. And if you're at the point where you don't understand so many answers, well, maybe you've not studied enough. That's just the plain, honest truth. If you cannot figure out the answers enough, maybe you need more study time on that treadmill. You get what I'm saying? This is your friend Phil. I'm being open and honest with you. I'm trying to help you. I want you to go waste your money. Listen to what I'm saying. Close those gaps. And if you still find gaps and you cannot close them, well, perhaps you shouldn't be taking the exam, wasting your $555. Enough said. Happy holidays.